Hello everyone, welcome to another video. My name is Lance and I am from Wartilyo, and today we're going to talk about Age of Sigmar Team Tournament Basics. This video is for you if you are an aspiring captain or player who just wants to join a team tournament with your friends and you're all playing Age of Sigmar together. Shout out to Nick Wright, who has helped me by being a consultant in getting some insights for how to get this video together. A team tournament is different from your normal run-of-the-mill singles, RTT, or GT. Victory point differentials play a much bigger role than wins or losses. What does that mean? It means that you need to focus on the difference between your points and your opponent's points at the end of the game. If, for example, you score 21 points and your opponent scores 13, if you look at the chart on the right, in the first column, you can see that you had a difference of 8 points. 21 minus 13 equals 8. The loser, your opponent, will have 8 points for their team, while you will score 12 points for your team. It's very important. Think about having a narrow loss if you can't win the game anymore, right? Every single point matters. There has to be a focus on points. I'll give an example of why this is important. If you and let's say if you're in a team of 3 and your score is 20 because you've beaten your opponent by 37 or more points, and your two teammates lost, right? They lose, but they lose such that they score 8 points each because their difference is between 5 to 8. Then your opponents will have a total score of 24 because 2 of their players won by 12 points, while your team has a score of 20 plus 8 because of how the 2 narrow losses you suffered. So while your team lost 2 out of the 3 games, your overall score will actually be 36 to 24, meaning that your team actually wins the head-to-head. So even if you're not in a favorable situation, you need to think about the best way to contribute to your team. Speaking of which, I'm led to my next point. A superstar team doesn't necessarily, equate to a team of superstars. Let's look at the Chaos Gods as an example. That 4 of them are literal gods and they're all very powerful, but that doesn't mean that they work well together. They usually get in each other's way and focus on me themselves. There, it will come a point in a team's event where egos or pressure will be high. Maybe you reach the finals. Maybe you just don't want to be last place. Anything of the sort. And pressure normally gets to a team. It's like a lot more comfortable losing in a singles environment, but when they feel like they're letting other people down, it hits them very differently. I think that it's important to constantly be able to shrug it off and to be able to think about how you can contribute to your team regardless of the situation that you are in. And which leads me to my last point. Players should trust their captains and coaching staff's decisions. We'll get to the roles of the captain and coaching staff in a little bit, but it's important for the players to go into to a team tournament with a united idea of what they want to do. Do you guys just want to have fun? Are you guys there to sweat it out and try to win? Having that aligned goal is very important, and being able to trust that your captain and teammates have the same goal is important. Another way to build this kind of cohesion is to have lots of practice with each other. Know each other's lists inside and outs. Know each other's proclivities, like what people are good at, what missions people are weak at, what matchups people are good at, and this would normally sway things in your favor. Team composition. This part shouldn't take too long. A team is normally composed of a captain and some players, but here's a breakdown of further roles. The captain is the one who does the pairings. The captain is the one who needs to have a great grasp of the meta and must know the team's lists inside and out. In larger tournaments, you could also have a coach, and a coach tends to help the captain with administrative tasks like traveling, reviewing lists, and stepping in when the captain cannot do so. A coach is usually best when they complement the captain's strengths. If the captain is like a hype man and very good at speaking to the team, but not necessarily good at analyzing lists, then the coach should be far more analytical. Likewise, if the captain is very analytical and knows the meta inside and out, but isn't the best at giving, let's say, rousing speeches before a game, then the team coach should have the energy of a golden retriever. The rest of the team are made up of players and could build their lists and usually have to build their lists in a different way, such that their team composition complements each other and is good against each other's weaknesses. Lastly, some teams have a spare player. A spare player is the one who steps in when any of the players are unable to make their matches. On the surface, it seems like the spare player is not that important, but if you really think about it, the spare player has to know everyone's armies and must know how to play them at least at the basic level. All right, on to pairings. Here is an example of how pairings will work. This format is the format that is used normally by Age of Sigmar Worlds and most team tournaments from my experience that I am acquainted with. So, what each player needs to do at the beginning, each captain rather, what each captain needs to do at the beginning is to choose a player from their team, and I'm assuming that this is a team of 4 for now, and put them down as a defender for the first mission. So each mission will be dictated in a specific order that you cannot decide, that's chosen by the tournament organizer beforehand. Let's pretend I have ogre mob tribes as defenders. You and the opposing captain reveal your defenders at the same time. And now you must choose 2 of the cards in your hand, or 2 of your players, to be the attackers. In this case, I'm choosing these 2. Well, let's just say the opposing team randomly chooses these 2. Or not randomly, they choose these 2. Now, your next job as a captain is to look at your player, your Ogre Maw Tribe player, and see the 2 options your opponent gave you. Which of them would you rather fight as Ogre Maw Tribes? In this case, I would rather have my Ogre Maw Tribe player fight against Sylvaneth. Likewise, the opponent captain will see your attackers and will choose one opponent to fight against. The player that you don't select can be eligible to be used as an attacker or defender in the next round. You repeat this process until all players have been exhausted and have been paired. For example, let's say that your opponent puts this Maggotkin of Nurgle player as a defender next. And now you want to put down, let's say, sorry, no, this is gone because there are only 4 players. And now you want to go for Flesh Eater Courts as your next defender. Then in the final set of tables, this is the pairings. You put down the unit as a defender, your opponent puts down the defender, and the remaining cards in hand thus become the attackers. And that's how pairings works. If you are curious to see what a pairing simulation would actually look like between 2 live captains, a video will be linked in the description below showcasing our pairings against Team Australia, which is a scrim that we had last year and was for 3rd edition, but the same rules for pairings will still apply. All right, and that concludes our basic Age of Sigmar Teams Tournament video. If you like this kind of content, give us a like, give us a sub. We will have another video up soon that focuses more on advanced skills that'll have a lot of shorthand that will help you learn to be a better team captain and how to do pairings and build lists a little better for teams. And with that, this is Lance signing off.